Chapter 87. A Million Miles of Snow. Seized the sword. Nearly everyone in the city was jolted, followed by countless people revealing a look of ecstasy. When 5 million divine blood armies were killing towards Metropolis City, nearly everyone was desperate, and when the great slaying sage awakened, that desperation was even more extreme. And just by virtue of that aura, the people of the entire city were crushed as if they were dead. But just now, Shu Great Emperor seized the blood prison knife in a split second. Everyone is the spirit of vibration, even though the blood prison knife in the vicinity of the Great Jaya Hall. But after all, Shu Great Emperor seized. Mo Yaika traveled quickly towards the city in his flying boat. The Bat Ancestor's eyes were wide open. He had long known how powerful Shu was, but the scene just now still shook the Bat Ancestor to his core. Just how strong was his majesty? The Chong clan, the Shi clan, and Qinzi Bai all retreated, and Guhai dispersed Zhong Sanfeng, took out his flying boat, and flew towards the city. Everyone's gazes were focused on Great Emperor Shu and Great Killing Saint Supreme. The two were separated by a great distance and stared at each other. One was surrounded by blood mist and a fishy aura. One was surrounded by ice and snow, with a cold aura. The Great Killing Saint Supreme's face was ice cold. There is no more Shu family. The Shi family. How many generations are you in? I saw that the Shi family had an insubordinate heart back then. That's why I let you guys guard this place. Hehe. Heyahaha. You guys really rebelled. Great Emperor Shu's gaze was icy cold as he looked towards Great Killing Saint. Great Killing Saint. Back then, you made a wrong decision or... The Great Killing Saint Supreme's face was grim. It's been 6,000 years. Do you know that this world is long gone from 6,000 years ago? Great Emperor Shu said indifferently. How dare you dare to be rude to His Holiness? The nearest First Legion chief let out a furious shout. Boom! The First Legion commander immediately stepped on his horse, his body swaying as he came towards the Great Jade Palace. The First Legion commander nowadays had the strength of the Midheaven Palace. His speed was extremely fast, and after only a short while of angrily shouting, the stepping horse had already arrived close by. Grasping a long blade in his hand, he chopped towards Great Emperor Shu. The might of the Middle Heaven Palace, powerful formation of a storm, boomed straight at Shu Emperor. Seems to want to kill it with a knife, in order to correct its sin of great disrespect. Boom! The long blade was ferocious and seemed to be able to decimate the great Yuan Imperial Dynasty's palace with a single slash, and in the palace, countless attendants revealed a look of horror. Great Emperor Shu, however, had a cold face. HMPH. With a cold snort, the blood prison blade in Great Emperor Shu's hand fiercely met it. Boom! The knife slashed down, immediately forming a blood-colored rainbow. And as soon as the rainbow came out, it immediately reversed the First Legionary's storm of knife power, and collided back, unstoppable and destructive towards the First Legionary. What? The First Army Chief's face changed. However, the blood prison blasted through its long blade, and was as powerful as a bamboo, arriving at its face in an instant, as if it was going to cleave it in half with a single slash. Not good. In the distance, the Horse Clan Supreme Horse Three Eyes steeply glared. Buzz! On the forehead of the Horse Three Eyes, the third eye steeply opened, and the golden light rushed straight out, and in an instant, it arrived in front of the blood prison blade, and blasted into the blade, seemingly blocking it. Humph! There is no one alive that I want to kill. Emperor Shu's eyes went cold. Boom! Ma Sankai's pillar of golden light exploded, and the blade blatantly cut the First Legion commander in half. The bloodlight instantly illuminated countless people in all directions who couldn't open their eyes. Boom! The First Army Chief exploded. General! In the First Legion, countless generals cried out in shock. Unbridled, the Great Killing Saint's face turned cold. At this moment, Mo Sankai's forehead, the third eye, seemed to be strangely sprouting a trace of blood. You've completely mastered the blood prison. Mo Sankai's eyes stared up in surprise. Bare your guts. As soon as Great Emperor Shu put away his blood prison blade, he coldly looked at the opposite side of the Great Killing Sun Supreme. Great Killing Sun Supreme, that's right. At your peak moment, you were awesome, but nowadays, you only have a soul body left, a soul body only. This is my Daiwan. If you dare to go forward again, I will chop you up. Great Emperor Shu said with a coldness in his eyes. The Great Killing Sun Supreme's eyes narrowed slightly as he stared at Great Emperor Shu. The blood prison is like fire. The cold ice way suppresses the fire of the blood prison. Hey ha 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 ha. Good, good. No one, yet, has dared to be so reckless with me. Great Emperor Shu, the Shu family has produced a linnet. Have all forgotten about my year. Behead me. Humph, today. I'll see how you can behead me. The Great Killing Sun let out a cold snort. He took a step out. Buzz. Within hundreds of thousands of miles, a steep bloody light shrouded the sky, covering the earth, and endless blood mist filled the four directions. Metropolis City, covered in ice and snow, the area of blood mist shrouded the entire ice-covered metropolis in general. The Shi clan, there's no need for it to exist either. The Great Killing Sun Supreme said, in an icy cold tone. As he spoke, he probed his hand and pressed it in the air. Boom! The world of blood mist, steeply condensed billions of blood-colored blade chair, roaring towards Metropolis City and chopping it, as if a round of the sea of blade chair swept over and Metropolis City was destroyed to the ground. Emperor Shu's eyes turned cold, his feet stepped down, and the blood prison blade in his hand also roared to meet the sky. Boom! Countless white blade chair crashed against the sky, and the blood prison even charged straight at the right palm of the Great Killing Sun Supreme. The palm and the blade collided in the void. Boom! The sound of a huge collision. Heaven and earth roared. Countless people immediately covered their ears and fell to the ground in pain. The sound shook too ferociously. Nearly half of the buildings in Metropolis City collapsed down with a bang. Great Emperor Shu showed a scowl on his face. The saber dang actually blocked the palm dang of the Great Slaying Sun, and the white saber chair blatantly blocked the blood-colored saber chair. Boom! Both Great Emperor Shu and Great Killing Sun Supreme bloomed with stormy auras. Using my blade against me, you seek death. The Great Killing Sun Supreme showed a scowl. I said, this is no longer 6,000 years ago. It's long since not your era. This is my Great Yuan Imperial Dynasty. There's long since nothing of the Great Killing Heavenly Dynasty. That has long since become history. You are only a soul body now, a soul body. And you also want to compete with me. Great Emperor Shu roared with a scowl on his face. Boom! The two men's power surged more and more. Ong, ong. In the sky, the two chair golden dragons were also roaring, not allowing each other. And even at the place of contact, the two dragon heads were tearing each other apart. Rumble, rumble. No one would allow it. And the faces of the two were getting more and more distorted. It seemed that there was no winner or loser. But, far away from the ancient sea manor, a group of powerful people were wildly changing their faces. Great Emperor Shu, he blocked Great Killing Sun Supreme. Long Shenwu's face changed. This is impossible. When did Great Emperor Shu's strength skyrocket to so much? Gong Yong Sheng's face changed. Rumble. Wild winds raged in all directions. Snow flew. And the two great powerhouses were in a stalemate. Gu Hai had returned. Brother-in-law, you awesome just now. Long Wen Yu instantly jumped close to look at Gu Hai and said excitedly. Gu Hai smiled slightly bitterly. Awesome. It was far worse than the two monarchs in front of him. The Shi family. Shu. Asshole, you cultivated that forbidden technique. The Great Killing Sage's face deeply changed. The snow flies for 1,000,000 miles. Great Emperor Shu let out a loud shout. Steeply, a dazzling white light bloomed from the blood prism blade. In an instant, at the two great monarchs, billions of white light bloomed, and the white light pierced brightly as everyone suddenly couldn't open their eyes in general. Boom! approximately tilde 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 tilde. At the moment of eye blindness, there was a steep bang in the distance. A great wind blew through. In the metropolis city, instantly another half of the building collapsed and fell, and the countless floating islands around were even more impacted by an impact force that crumbled to the ground. Metropolis city was instantly in a mess, wailing countless times. Buzz, the white light disappeared. Great Empress Shu and Great Killing Saint Supreme were however separated. One stood at the entrance of the Great Jade Hall, and the other stood on top of the carriage, as if they hadn't fought at all before. Only at this moment, the metropolis city had become a pile of ruins in general. The buildings had almost all collapsed, and the city walls had all collapsed as well. Many of the people were seriously injured by the aftershocks. Great Empress Shu stood at the entrance of the Great Joy Hall. The Great Killing Saint was standing on top of the carriage. After looking at each other, the Great Killing Saint Supreme took a deep breath. Divine Blood Army, go. The Great Slaughter Saint Supreme's face was grim as he let out a loud shout, and nearly everyone who heard it had their faces changed. The Great Killing Sage said, go. Yes, Your Holiness. The various Divine Blood armies responded to the shout and quickly converged on the place of the Great Killing Sage. Rumble. The army slowly left towards the west. The result, was there any need to guess? The collision between the two great monarchs just now. In the end, it was with Great Emperor Shu winning. That's the Great Slaying Saint. Li Shenji's face changed wildly. Emperor Shu, a single slash defeated the Great Slaughter Saint. The 5 million Divine Blood army slowly retreated towards the west. The Great Slaughter Holy Lord stood on top of the carriage, keeping his gaze fixed dead on the Shu Emperor at the mouth of the Great Jaya Hall. And within those eyes, there was a great hatred, as if retreating was only an expedient measure, and sooner or later, he would still come back. The blood-colored aura of the Great Killing Heavenly Dynasty in the sky slowly drifted away with the departure of the Great Killing Saint. Great Emperor Shu stood at the entrance of the Great Jaya Hall, also eyeing the Great Slaying Sage's departure with an icy gaze, and in his eyes, there was a sense of arrogance. In the past, the Shi family was just a suspected vassal of the Great Slaying Heavenly Palace. Today, the Shi family's Shu, however, has established himself, and has even defeated the Great Slaughter Holy Lord. What about the Great Killing Dynasty? Today, it's still not a defeat for me. After the wailing in the city, the people were worshipping Great Emperor Shu more and more. Long live His Majesty! Long live Great Yuan! The people shouted wildly in excitement. So, His Majesty is so powerful. My Great Yuan Majesty, so powerful. It wasn't until the Great Killing Heaven Dynasty army had completely disappeared that Emperor Shu flung his sleeves and slowly stepped into the Dayuanyuan Hall. However, the cries of the people in the city still did not stop. The houses collapsed. For mortals, it was a plague of destruction. But for cultivators, it was a quick rebuild. Metropolis, with His Majesty at the helm, who can compete? Ancient Sea Manor. The floating island was still collapsing, and the people stood on top of a mountain peak, watching Emperor Shu return to the Great Jade Hall, still unable to calm down for a long time. At this moment, Gong Yongsheng, however, steeply raised his eyebrows and turned his body to look at the metropolis city behind the ruins. However, it was the surrounding area of metropolis city that was actually clearly divided into 81 regions. Mr. Gongyong, and all of you, the Great Yuan Imperial Dynasty is now a troubled time, so it's better for us to leave Great Yuan as soon as possible. Guohai looked towards the crowd and said in a deep voice, "No, I'm not leaving. Ha, 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 ha. It's not that I'm not leaving, but I can't leave. 81 palace diagrams. No, the 99 sealed sun formation. So, underneath Metropolis City is a 99 sealed Yonggran formation." Gong Yongsheng's face changed. What? The crowd looked at Gong Yongsheng in confusion. The souls of the Divine Blood Army outside the city in the west, but the metropolis city was previously transformed in appearance by Great Emperor Shu. If it hadn't been reduced to a pile of rubble, I wouldn't have been able to tell that it was a 9-9 sealing Yong formation. A good way to use the city to cover it up. No wonder the Divine Blood army from earlier wanted to slaughter the city. So it's for what's underneath the 9-9 sealed Yong formation. A bright light flashed in Gong Yongsheng's eyes. Underneath this is the treasure of the Great Killing Heaven dynasty. Long Shenwu steeply narrowed his eyes and guessed. Under here, it's sealed with the flesh of the Great Killing Saints and their bodies. Yi Divine Needle's face also changed. The entire depths of the Celestial Dynasty. Underneath this, Li Shenji's eyes also heated up.